We begin tonight, as we often do, with a story of strange flying objects. But these aren't saucers, orbs, or tic tacs. They're just regular birds. Or are they? It's February 2022 in Chihuahua, Mexico. Early in the morning, a mounted CCTV camera is rolling on a quiet residential street where a large flock of yellow-headed blackbirds is seen flying overhead at the top of the screen. Then suddenly, things take a strange and deadly turn. The security camera catches the shocking moment the huge black mass of birds appears to fall like rain from the sky to the pavement below. As the footage continues to roll, we see that many of the birds recover and fly off safely. But the street and sidewalk are now littered with nearly 100 avian corpses. Science journalist Amy Title says this footage is quite surprising.
Birds are not known for smashing into the ground, so what exactly is happening to make them act this way?
Though this strange incident seems once in a lifetime, it's not the only time small animals have rained from the sky. In this video from Virginia Beach, Virginia, a fish is captured falling and hitting a car. And footage from December 2021 shows a parking lot in Texarkana, Texas, filled with a dozen dead fish that have seemingly come out of nowhere. That turned out to be the result of a weather phenomenon known as a waterspout. But the incident in Mexico remains mysterious. And all this is nothing new. In the book of Exodus, God sends down a rain of frogs on the Egyptians because of their refusal to free the enslaved Israelites. But while some wonder if these strange incidents could be divine punishment, others suggest they have a more technological source. The alleged culprit?
5G is a relatively new technology that we're using increasingly for cell phone reception. One theory is that somehow 5G interfered with the bird's natural navigation. Birds create a protein called cryptochromes that makes them very sensitive to blue light and actually helps them see the Earth's magnetic field. That's how birds know how to fly south and migrate for the winter. So could it be that this increase of electromagnetic frequency is somehow interfering with the bird's ability to see where they're going?
Recent research in the field of magnetoreception indicates that molecular fragments in the bird's eyes enable them to see Earth's magnetic field lines and use that information to chart a course between their breeding and wintering grounds. So what went wrong here? Let's go to the experts for a bird's eye view. The idea that 5G signals cause bodily harm has been debunked, but biologist Dr. Floyd Hayes considers whether some form of electromagnetic interference could be to blame.
There was a study published on the effects of electromagnetic radiation on the magnetic compass of European robins, and it affected the direction in which they oriented. But these birds aren't really migrating a long distance, they're just probably trying to find food. And they also have backup compasses, migrating by the stars at night and the sun by day. Furthermore, we wouldn't expect all of these birds to fall suddenly like we're seeing in this video.
So if they're not being affected by electromagnetic noise, could these birds have been poisoned by a lethal toxic cloud of pollution? Wood-burning stoves and agrochemicals can cause high levels of air pollution in the region. Meteorologist Juan Hernandez checks the weather conditions to see if this could be the cause.
If it's mountainous, we're able to have a thermal inversion where we have trapped gases or trapped smoke near the ground. But if we look at the video, we don't really see much in the way of smoke, chemicals. Likely, there was something else that occurred.
Hayes agrees pollution is not very likely.
If they were exposed to some sort of a toxin, we would see individuals gradually becoming sick at different times depending on the amount of the dose that they were exposed to.
So did these small critters rain down during an anomalous weather event like a microburst?
We're able to see that it had rained earlier, but by the time that the birds crashed into the ground, it appeared that it had stopped raining, ruling out the potential for a microburst or a downburst.
So since Hernandez says the birds weren't blown into the ground by a sudden downburst of wind and rain, Hayes believes the real culprit is a deadly presence we don't see on camera.
I think there is a predatorial bird, such as a peregrine falcon, that rapidly dived onto that flock, and the birds panicked, and some of them crashed into the ground. When a large flock of birds form, they call it a murmuration, and it's generally to either provide protection for each other or to find food.
This is what he's talking about. Watch how this murmuration of western sandpipers moves suddenly in unison to avoid this swooping peregrine falcon.
This is actually normal behavior when a predatory bird attacks flocks of birds. We're not seeing the predator up above, but it's probably just out of view.
We're going with Hayes here. Our verdict is the birds were flying in a murmuration. So when an unknown predator we can't identify came upon the flock, they made a sudden, drastic dive that was too drastic for some. That's the downside of flocking together.